Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to Madam Farashima. My name is Muhammad Nabil bin Marahan. I will now talk about definition of consideration in section 2 clause D. When at the desire of the promisor, the promisee or any other person has done or abstained from doing or does or abstain from doing or promise to do or to abstain from doing something, such act or abstinence or promise is called a consideration for the promise. Consideration is something which has a value in the eyes of law and become the basis of the contract. It is a price which is paid by one party in return to a promise or act done by another party. A valuable consideration in the sense of law may consist in some right, interest, profit or benefits accruing to the one party, or some forbearance, determinant, loss or responsibility given, suffered or undertaken by the others. Classification of consideration. Number 1 is executory consideration. When at the desire of the promisor, the promise or any other person promises to do or to abstain from doing something. Number 2 is execute consideration. A consideration is executed when a promise is made in return to the performance of an act. Number 3 is past consideration, where one promise is made subsequent to and in return for an act that has already been performed. Type of consideration in situation given. The type of consideration involved in the situation between Yusuf and his mother Useful is execute consideration. The situation is when Yusuf agreed to quit his job as state advisor at Johor and return to Ipoh to further his study in business study at College Polytechnic Mara, Ipoh. In return, Yusuf's mother promised that she will provide him RM1,000 as his monthly expenses and a single-story terrace house if he will agree to return and further his study. The issue in this case is whether Yusuf can take legal action against his mother for breach of contract because her mother break the promise to give Yusuf monthly expenses and ask him to leave the house that she promised to provide after 6 months. Consideration related to the question. Consideration happened when Ms. Useful offered to provide Yusuf RM1,000 as his monthly expenses and also a single-story terrace house if Yusuf agree to return and further his study at College Polytechnic Mara, Ipoh. Taking that as a great opportunity, Yusuf agrees to the offer. After 6 months, there was a misunderstanding between him and Mr. Useful. His mother stopped giving monthly expenses and asked him to leave the house that he was living in. Yusuf was very frustrated and he would like to take legal action against his mother for monthly expenses as well as the vacant position of the house. The general rule in section 36 provides the agreement without consideration is void. In Yusuf and his mother case, it is the agreement made on account of natural love and affection between parties in near relation to each other. Like for example in section 36 clause A, Section Act 1950. The requirement for the agreement to be valid is A, expressed in writing, B, must be registered if required by any law, and C, made based on natural love and affection who stand in near relation to each other, which means family members. Based on the following requirement, Yusuf cannot take legal action against his mother because the agreement lack of requirement need to be valid, that is expressed in writing, and must be registered by law. In conclusion, Yusuf cannot take legal action against his mother because the agreement is not void at the first place due to lack of requirement. For intention to create legal action, the parties to the agreement are ready to face any implication if they fail to perform the terms under the contract. Contract Act 1950 is silent on the intention to create legal relation. However, the requirement of intention to create legal action can be seen from case laws. Law divide agreement into two classes. A is commercial or business agreement. 2 is social, domestic or family agreement. For the situation given, intention to create legal relation involved in situation is family agreements. The law treats family agreement as agreement without intention to create legal relations. Therefore, failure to fulfill the promise will not subjected to legal action. Based on the law about family agreement, Useless cannot take legal action against his mother. The agreement is done without intention to create legal relation and was not intended to be legal enforceable. So, even though Useless mother failed to fulfill the promise to provide Useless with monthly expenses at a single-story terrace house, she will not be subjected to legal action. If they had intended the agreement to be legally enforceable by making it in writing on paper, there will be a legal contract and Useless will be able to take legal action against his mother for breach of contract. In conclusion, Useless cannot take legal action against his mother because there was no legally binding agreement. That's all for me. Thank you.